but there is something in opera that creates something that is special, it's unique. You can have all form of art in one set. You have music, you have voice, you can have choreography, you can have dancing, you have the text, so the libretto that could be it's also a poems, so everything, you can have painting, everything come alive in one single formula that is opera. That's what I think I love the most. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this conversation.
No, it's lovely. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me. It's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Likewise, I'm actually very excited because I think when we, mostly in classical music, we have the possibility to share what we do and how we do it. I think it's great to share it and also let people that perhaps is not into classical music, what we do, and perhaps they get interested in coming to classical music.
Absolutely. And, the more I speak to people, also, the more I find it so interesting, and because I'm not a musician. So for me, I learned so much about talking to musicians. And I think also people would benefit from hearing, more about how you started, what inspires you, and all those things.
Definitely.
It makes it so interesting.
Yeah, that's why. Sorry to interrupt you. I actually appreciate the fact when I ask you if there were any question that you would ask, you say, no, let's keep it more real and more,
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so.
I always think it should be like if you go to a party and you meet somebody and you start asking, so what are you doing for a living? And when they start talking, you didn't prepare a question. So, you sort of hear what the person wants to tell you. And this is how I want to keep the interviews. I want to not stage the questions, but rather let the person tell me what they want to tell.
Let's start.
Yeah, but you are now a professor of opera at the London Performing Academy of Music. Yeah.
Yes. So I've just been appointed, and it's new things for me as I always love opera. And this opportunity came out of the blue because I just went to sub a colleague that couldn't make this masterclass on the Bohème. And the CEO and founder, Stefania Passamonte, Dr. Stefania Passamonte, contacted me because we met a couple of months earlier and we talked about this project, but I was not involved. Mm-hmm. And suddenly this other colleague couldn't make it, and they asked me if I could do it. And Bohème is probably one of my favorite operas because it was the first opera I heard when I was a kid, and the first CD that I ever received was Bohème with Luciano Pavarotti. And 20 years later, I went to work with Pavarotti on the same opera. So you have this beautiful connection with La Bohème. And when the Dr. Stefania Passamonte offered me this opportunity, I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
And it went
but
so
listen,
well.
How great that you could see Pavarotti, and that was the first opera that you loved, and that you could actually, that must have been a dream come true.
Yes, it was a great experience also because we spent almost 40 days working with Pavarotti and for the cast, because it was a young cast that he was coaching for the La Bohème. And he was also the stage director of the Bohème. And it looked like, yes, a dream. It was like, so you are with probably the greatest tenor in history, and he always refers to you as a maestro, even if you were that tiny. But his respect for music was unbelievable. And so, yes, and I had, because of him, the Dr. Passamonte was great, because when she organized this poem with the Academy, was coming together, or called back together, everyone that used to work with Pavarotti or study with Pavarotti. So I had the chance to meet two of his best students. So there was Silvio Zanon, that is considered one of the greatest baritone in Italy and abroad as well, and the soprano Chiara Angela. And we had a week full of experience and sharing memories with the maestro, for the maestro, because he was a great personality. And, they used to work with him closely, they studied with him. So and funny enough, Chiara and I, we were at the same house at the same time, but in different apartments. So we never met cross before, even if she was studying with Pavarotti at the same time I was working with him. And I don't know, it was just, when you say, oh, I was there as well at that time. I say, yes, I was studying. We never met before. We met 20 years later for the board again.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But this is something that I think, you can study and you can go to university, but the moment you get to learn with or from one of these great singers, it must have left a mark on you and changed the way also in some ways you look at the music, or did it change something in you to, your approach to music?
I think it made me more interested in understanding voices, because each role is different, and for many roles you have different kind of voices. So it was for me I would say a lifetime experience, but also was a starting point to understanding better what a voice is and how you cast a voice. Because sometimes, unfortunately, we can see that some voices are not cast for the right role, and therefore the span of the life of that voice is shorter, because they use it in a wrong repertoire. So they have to force the voice to do things that are not natural. And no, it was great, honestly, I have to say. And I remember one of the things that I remember that make me still smile today was that I was the repetiteur and the assistant conductor for Pavarotti. And so the conductor had this beautiful first printing full score of the opera, and he was very proud. So I say, Maestro, look, I got the first printing edition of La Bohème. And Pavarotti just stood up, said, I will be back. He came back after a minute, and he came with the same first edition signed by Puccini.
Really?
I was like, say, okay. And now I think that score is at the museum in Modena, I guess. Yes, it's but yeah, signed by the composer. So.
Amazing. But you're talking about now also singers casted for the wrong role, and that their voices are not mature enough. Do you think there's a pressure on young singers that they want it so much, or that they are given roles that they're not ready for?
I think it's a yes answer, because unfortunately, I don't think young singer understand when their voice is developed to them at the right, or when it's ready for something. So unfortunately, there is a pressure, like in every single working environment, to do something always, and you don't want to lose the opportunity, but that opportunity could be the worst decision you ever made. Because if you take a role that is too big for you, so one thing that I learned from Pavarotti in regard of what we are just talking was that he told me, we were in his car, he always have this big limousine waiting for the rehearsal to start. So I would spend an hour with him in the car talking about everything. And I remember this when he told me, I said, I'm a a tenor. I asked him, Maestro, how you can explain that you have a span of career almost 50 years? Huge, probably one of the biggest we had. He said, because I have this.
Really?
I said, can you explain to me? He said, yes, because I do not need to prove anything to anyone. So I do not force my voice in rehearsal. I don't force my voice in general rehearsal. I don't do anything, or I don't sing in full voice when I don't need to. Because for instance, he said when I was doing Aida, there's no point for me to sing full voice when you have under 50 people of the choir. Your voice will never be heard. So I will save my voice for when it's my turn, and then I will sing it out. So he saved his voice. He was smart enough to use it when he needs it, and just calmly goes, marking, or let's say, singing softly when it wasn't needed. And that's why he made the career that he made.
But what do you think made him so confident in himself, or made him value his voice so much that he could make that decision? Or do you think it comes from time, that he learned from time, and that a singer learns from, in time to stand for their voice, or stand up for their voice?
Well, I think it was the different. So 50 years ago is completely different. In any area of music was completely different. Perhaps there was less pressure to get to the role that you could have reached in 2 years' time. Now you want to do that role straight away. So, and also, he was super talented, but also he worked very hard on his voice. So I think it's like athletes. You need to, if you go for a distance, you need to pace yourself. You can do the sprint and then don't make the next 2 kilometers. So if you go for a marathon, you have to pace it in a way that you will get there at the end. So I think that was one of the greatest things that I learned from him, the fact that you have to pace yourself in a way that if you goal, it's a career that will last 30 years, 40 years, that's the way to do it. Have the good agent, first of all, and mostly have a very good, I would say, co-repetitor or coach that will work with you on your voice, or even a teacher. Yes, in that case, it would be a teacher, but a professional teacher that will understand your voice and work on that. Because sometimes, unfortunately, like in even in school, a good teacher, but teacher makes difference on someone else's life. Yeah. I loved biology, but I had the worst teacher ever when I was in college, and I started to edit, and I gave up biology. I loved it, but I was just so instead I had 2 fantastic teachers, one in piano, and because I'm also a concert pianist, and in conducting, that made me love so much music that I live to music, cannot do anything else than music. So that's where are good things in every art. It's very important. So I think the understanding of the possibility and the capability are the 2 main things. So you have to have somebody that understands what's your possibility, what you can do, and what you can reach.
And do you think, because where you teach now, I mean, you have a love for opera. Let me ask you first, why conducting opera specifically?
Okay, I don't want to sound arrogant. I'm Italian, and the opera start there, and I always have this passion for the connection between the human voice and instrument. So for what the sounds come out when you have that kind of when you shape the sound, it's how they play with each other. I always loved that. And also my teacher actually was the guy that gave me the first. He never gave me a CD of Chopin or Beethoven piano concerto. He gave me the opera. My piano teacher said, "You will love this," and I just fell in love with the opera. So I think everything we have. I have an orchestra here in London that I work regularly with them, and the artistic director is the Surrey Philharmonic, and it's a symphony orchestra, and I love the symphonic repertoire as well. but there is something in opera that creates something that is special, is unique. You can have all form of art in one set. You have music, you have voice, you can have choreography, you can have dancing, you have the text, so the libretto that could be it's also a poem. So everything, you can have painting, everything come alive in one single form of art that is opera. That's what I think I love the most.
That's true. Yeah, it's and then the costumes and the decor and everything. It's wonderful. But so you do symphony orchestra as well, you say, and you do then the opera conducting. So
Yes.
both.
Yes, yes. I did also a little bit of ballet. I love ballet as well. So that's
Oh,
another.
I wanted to ask. Oh, really? And is there a big difference between ballet conducting and opera conducting?
Okay, the difference in a ballet situation, the stage make a difference.
Mm.
So because I did a tour and we had different ballet, different stage space, so you have to either slow down, speed up a piece. Depends how big or deep is the ballet, the pit or the stage. So not the pit. And the opera goes always in a way. It depends who is the singer, because every singer have a different kind of lungs capacity, legato capacity. So you find a meeting point between the music, the conductor, and the musician on the other side. It's always interesting because you can see singers that have a long range of voice and then a long respiro, and then they go over the phrase, so you shape in a different way than somebody that has a beautiful voice but perhaps have less long-lasting breath. So you shape in a different way. So yeah, there are always something that is common in most of the symphony, ballet, and opera.
So you must be very aware. So you're aware of the orchestra and you're aware of what goes on stage.
You have to. I actually, before I was waiting for you, I'm working on my next project with the London Performing Academy, and we are going to do in Asia possibly a Turandot. So I'm studying Turandot at the moment.
Oh, wow! And
so it's a beautiful thing that is just blossoming and it's coming out as more project after project. So we will have perhaps few bohemes coming on I think South America as well. So it's going to be a very interesting fall period, yeah.
And you've been all over the world. I mean, you've conducted so many places, even Australia, I see.
Yeah, I actually start studying conducting over there because the professor that I want to study with, Imre Pallo, that was considered one of the greatest professors, that he was at the Indiana University. And when I approached him to study with him, he said that he was moving from the US to Australia. So I went for the audition. I was very lucky because there was only one spot and I got it. And with the Maestro Palla had phenomenal 2 years for my master, and then I met a lot of beautiful people. And I did a few. But that's the beauty of music. Music gave you the 360 vision of what the world is. Because with the same score, you can go around the world and you can conduct one opera, but you do the whole world, and you will see the reaction of people from different culture, different ethnicity, everything and everyone reacting to the music in the same way. It's like electrifying. So no matter where you conduct, and we musicians are very lucky, most of us, because we can really tour the world, and you make difference in someone else's life after the performance. So I started in Australia, but I also studied in Rome, I studied in Terni, studied in Milan, Germany, US. Then I came back here. So
Wow. And all the different experiences and the different cultures that you say that you also learn something from, probably.
Yes. That's very important. Yeah, that's, I think, is one of the most important things. That's why I love to join the project that Dr. Passamonte had with the Academy, because it's mostly based on a different culture. So the idea of this Academy now, for instance, is that we embrace all the different culture, using professors from that area specifically to teach us, for instance, or students, what is a Caribbean sound from somebody from the area, or what is the South American sound of the same kind of music but different approach. Or, for instance, I'm doing the Italian opera, and so the knowledge of the libretto, for instance, how that works, how the libretto and the music meet, and what's the requirement because sometimes, unfortunately, I have to say, I saw some of my colleagues conducting Italian opera and never spoke one word of Italian. So there is the lack of nuances in the music because you don't understand what does it mean.
Oh yeah, because I understand what you mean. Yeah, because
So unfortunately, I saw that, and there are. It's always beautiful music, but I think music gets alive when you keep something because you understand what it means. So the fact that, for instance, Puccini wrote only 14 operas in 40 years is because he worked so hard on the details of everything that he wanted. And that should, as a musician, give you the idea of how much deep you have to study something of all the other Verdi, Bellini, Donizetti, Wagner, and so on. But the idea of not knowing or base your conducting only on the translation or the synopsis of the opera, it's a little bit dangerous, I would say.
Yeah. But, when you talk about opera like that, and I can sense your passion for it, but how important do you think it is for the younger generation to hear more, or to give a better understanding for what opera really is?
Well, that's a very good question. So we rely on the future generation to keep playing music, mostly classical music. So we, for instance, the LPMM and the Academy are trying to involve or to invest as much as we can in a young generation. And the prototype of the project that we had, the Bohème, was exactly that. We had young students that work with professional singer and, of course, a professional conductor and coach. And, one of the other projects would be, I think, in South America, if everything goes by plan. And we will work with, I would say, average between probably 18 to 20 to 23 years old. to less fortunate communities in order to bring something completely different to what the understanding of the music is. Because opera is complex. So, when sometimes people say get bored, but it's the way we approach the opera and the way we show the opera that makes the difference. So I had a few years ago some project called the A Bite of Opera. So I would approach companies or whatever, and I will have lunchtime, 20, 30 minutes. Basic pieces by the opera that we were going to play or perform.
Oh, yeah.
And then they can get like a discount or whatever on the tickets. And so if they enjoy those 20 minutes, they perhaps enjoy the other 45 minutes left of the opera, if you do like an act of opera, like Gianni Schicchi or something like that. And so the interesting thing is that we have to find a new way to approach mostly young generation, because, in a way, we are using now a platform, but there are other platforms that are not that good for the mind of the kids. Mm-hmm. And so we have to find a way that the kids will need or feel the need of something different. Like the Genera Manina or Mio Babbino Caro, they are so famous that could be used in our advantage. So using those famous areas to bring or to give something different, because I think there are lots of kids. When I say kids, it's a younger generation of that will love to listen to classical music, but either for a financial issue or just for background difference or educational background differences, they never be able to get to the classical music, or mostly opera, because everyone knows ta 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 ta.
Yeah. But when I was a child, and I was in school, and that was during the 70s and early 80s, we used to have the opera company from Pretoria. They used to visit schools, and they would come to the school and do a short little piece of opera or operetta or something like that. But that stopped as well. People don't do that anymore in South Africa. And I always thought, and I've spoken to opera singers who used to do that in South Africa, and they said how much the children loved it. And for some children, it was completely something new because their parents didn't have any knowledge, but then, it's sort of you spark a little flame there. You sort of give them something or a world, you open up a world that they didn't know before.
No, and yes, exactly. And unfortunately, with all this financial crisis, the first things when they take the money away, it's always the educational music stuff. That's even harder for musicians. But there are small reality, like amateur orchestra, amateur companies that trying to keep alive, let's say, the lower level of, not lower level, but more an approachable level of music, like, nobody or not many people can afford the under 50 to under or the Covent Garden, for instance. But you can afford £15 or €15 for a smaller company. Well, of course, you won't have the same kind of atmosphere, but you can still enjoy a nice evening with music. So I think the difficulties that we are facing now, so mostly for musicians, is that lack of fun, yes. Also, but I think sometimes musicians are a little bit tired of fighting against something just because they want to do what they love the most, play. So you have to find a venue, you have to find a sponsor, you can have a bunch of friends so they gather together to play together. There are reality like that, but it's always the fact that you have to fight more for something that should be just like normal. So music should be the normal things to share with everybody. Like if you can read, you can listen a concert. So that should be the normal things in every school system. In fact, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, that was normal in the school system. And then took it away. So one of my best friends also that is a chef here in London. He also told me that when he was at school, his music teacher always have one of the lesson with piece of opera, and then the kids loved it. Most of them after they left the school, they kept going to the theater and stuff because that little flame may spark and everyone enjoy. If you do not introduce them to the joy, to the music, any kind of classical music or crossover jazz, they only listen what the ads gives you 24/7. So you know only that side. And that's sad in a way because I was lucky because I started playing piano when I was 4. Of course, my father was a musician. My mama was a teacher, Latin and Italian at school. So you say I'm quite lucky in that respect. But, doesn't mean that someone else that doesn't have that kind of background cannot walk into it.
Exactly. Yeah. I also, many of them many times I speak to an artist and then I ask, do you come from a family where your parents did some form of art? And many times they say no, completely. It was something that they saw somewhere or a teacher inspired them or they heard music somewhere and that inspired them. So it's not to say that, like you say, you're fortunate that your dad was a musician.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think that's what also it's this in the educational system needs to be restored, this idea that the music is as valuable as any other subject in school.
Mm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And, that's one of the main things that politicians should understand that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I'm excited about this new role, so I am excited for Turandot, Poem, and whatever will come. But also I'm excited that we will have young students, and the fact that there are still people that wants to do it, that gives me hope. That's important because, as you said, perhaps you saw something one day or listen, I don't know, there's one, or even Carmen, Overture, whatever. You just say, and then you say, okay, that piece at that moment gave me a vibe that never had felt before. So let's see what's happening. And then that's how for me was conducting, because I was a concert pianist, and one day a friend of mine invited me to one of these summer courses in Italy, and I never took a baton in my hand. And
really?
then the orchestra, it was
how old were you then?
Back then I would have been I just finished piano, so it would have been 20 because I was doing summer, 20, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And yes, but one thing is that people don't understand that playing an instrument and conducting an orchestra is a little bit different. Because as my professor used to say, I cannot play your instrument for you. So you have to make everything happen at the same time. That's the beauty of the creating. And that's why I always refer to the baton like a boom. It's like Harry Potter, you do this and something happens. And a wand. And so I went in front of the orchestra and we were doing the Italiana, Mendelssohn, number 4. And there was a moment when I didn't know what to do because I said, okay, I did a course like a week or something. So, okay, and then I started to realize I will give a beat, downbeat, let's see what's happening. And that's it. 28 years later, I'm here.
What? Amazing. So instinctively you knew then what to do. Yeah.
Yes, and then of course, I decided to study more deeply conducting. That's why I went to study with Professor Callow, and I loved it. Every lesson was something new. Every lesson was how to approach, for instance, an opera like could be a Turandot or Tosca, and the understanding of the period when it was written. So that's something that we have to study in order to have a better understanding of what's happening. Because if you do not know what many words, and mostly in early Mozart, are so old that they are not, people don't understand what the Italian language in the 17th 100 was.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So you have to refresh that kind of, because you can sing it, but if you don't know what does it mean, okay, of course you can sing it. You have to understand what ove or I don't know something means in the 1700s. So because the language changed much, then most of those words we don't use anymore. So that kind of discovering for me was eye-opening, because they say, okay, I'm Italian. I used to speak Latin because I studied Latin because my mom was a Latin teacher as well. So, but the fact that you have to say, okay, now in the 2020, this word doesn't exist anymore. So you have to understand back in the day what the word or the phrase meant to give a sense to what you're singing or playing today.
Yeah, and you must probably also understand the sort of life, the history of that area, or how people lived, to understand why they reacted in a certain way.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot of historical background to check when you conduct any opera, and exactly. And there are also meaning in some of the phrases that refer to a specific time back when it was written. So even that gave you a different approach to the score when you use, and I think it's very easy to say, sometimes when I meet people, they say, what do you do? I'm a conductor. Well, I couldn't be a trained conductor.
It's true, but I always thought, when I see a conductor, I always thought also, and still think, it is really like magic, because you take all these different instruments, these different sounds, and in the end it becomes one sound. So I always thought, how magical is that?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also it's what you hear before you get to the orchestra, because you should get to the orchestra first rehearsal, or whatever, knowing exactly the sound that you want. You're not searching for a sound. You know exactly the sound you want.
Yeah.
So that's also the other things that is very important for to when you study, when you learn how to have that sound in your ears, in your mind, and the orchestra will perceive it straight away if you are convincing that what you're doing is exactly what you have here. Otherwise, sometimes also some, yes, we play, but
I've heard that before, that from other conductors and also from young conductors, that they say that you have to be confident when you stand in front of the orchestra, because they can sense immediately if you're not.
Yeah. It's true, and the highest the level of the orchestra, so they experience probably the greatest of all conductors. So the hardest is for you to be convincing, because you always say, my teacher said, don't think about that the orchestra would say, oh, we play this one with Muti, with Mazur, with Kleiber. What can you give us? You have something to give, but you have to find your own way to do it. That's the thing. That's when you get convincing. You do something that it's yours, it's inside you, and you share with them, and they will appreciate. Because if you are mechanical, like you can say you are the copy of, they will play no matter what. That's the simple as that. But they will play their way, not your way. That's the difference. So when you're convincing and when you have the sound that you want, that's when you play the music that you want them to play. And that's
do you have to probably understand also all the things of the instruments, that what the music experience, that they have the complications of each instrument for the music.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's a part of our studies. Mostly, if you study in Italy with composition, it's 10 years, and you study composition first to not understand all the different technique and the difficulty and for each instrument for each family. So we got winds, brass, strings, percussion, so on, and all the different keys that they have to read and stuff. So that's the basics for a conductor, let's say. And yes, but when you have great musician, it's easy to make music because they want to make music. Mm. That's the beauty. But also, I have to say honestly, my orchestra is small, but they love to play. So sometimes we just did a concert, and I conducted the Siegfried Idyll, and there was a moment that gave me one of the most beautiful sounds. I was in tears just because the moment of that we all connected. It was just fantastic. It sometimes happens. When it happens, it's special. Yeah. So.
But what I find from many conductors that I speak to, and I've always wondered about that, you seem to have great sense or awareness. So you is this something that you think you have instinctively, or is it something that comes with the job, that you are aware of things and your senses, that you sense things more intensely because of, you have to look at the stage, you have to consider the singers, you have to consider your orchestra. Do you know what I mean? Does that come with time, or do you think it's something that you have to be a good conductor?
Okay, it could be both in a way. There are people that have that kind of talent, so they can perceive that something's going to happen and they react. But also, years of training and conducting give you that kind of solidity in controlling what's the surrounding area. The opera mostly, like for the ballet, for instance, because you have two separate teams that have to be one. So ballet is the same. And so if you have the singers on the stage and the pit, if something other way happen, you have to be so quick in fix it while it's happening. You can't stop and then say, okay, let's start again. So sometimes it's just instinctive reaction. So therefore, it could be something that you have in you and you don't know it. So, but other, sometimes if you do something so many times, you know that it's happening, and then you say, okay, now I do this differently and I fix it, so we will catch up soon. So I think it can be both. Yeah, possibly, yes. I trust my instincts, so if something happens, I always follow it. So far, so good. So.
Okay. But now with the London Performing Academy, I see performing in the title or in the name of the academy. How important do you think it is for singers not just to have the technical education, but that really the performing side of it is so important?
Well, that's probably one of the main goal of our academy is to give this, as we say, if you want to experience something, you have to live it. That's the most important thing. So, and if you want to live with something, you have to actually practice in a way that you understand what's happening. So if you want to be a concert pianist and you don't have a piano, there's no way you can do it. So for operas, for conductor, you need to have the possibility to conduct and be on stage. So the great things of our academy is that we gave this opportunity. When we launched this masterclass in April, was exactly that. So these 8, 9, 10 people, young singers with 3 professional singers, they share the experience, they share the moment, they share the stage, and all blended in a way to give the students an authentic experience of what the career looked like or would look like. And so it's very important for them to understand, for instance, the rehearsal before the staging is like crucial. You need to understand, because the more you learn about the libretto, the easy, or the music with the libretto, the easy is on the stage, because then you have to learn the movement. Many people, when you see the opera, you see everyone moving, it's fine, but no, you have to understand how hard it is, singing and moving at the same time with an eye on the conductor. Mm-hmm. So that's why the LPMM is doing this. We are creating this sort of environment where we give a window on their future career, so they can see how it will be if they go to Covent Garden, Met, La Scala, whatever it is. But the experience, it's a live experience, so you know exactly what you're going to see through this process. And as I said, when you see, I don't know, back in the day, would have been Tebaldi moving around so naturally, it's not because they move naturally, because there is a stage director to tell you what to do. But in the meantime, you have to remember the notes, remember the words. The action is happening, and you have a sound, and the surrounding area, everyone is moving around you. So the difficulty also in that respect, it's keep everyone connected. That's the conductor is there for. Because, you know, if you forget something, you have to, there is we call it the suggeritore. So there is somebody that really that check the word that is missing.
Oh, yeah.
Keep up, because I think that there won't be anything worse than stop a performance because you don't remember something. No, it's just a fantastic way to live life doing opera or music when you are, like I am, so deep in love. I think, it's the first love. And you never first love, so yeah, I won't.
But amazing that you give these young singers the opportunity, because sometimes I think it's so difficult when you, they study and then where to now, or where do I get the experience? And of course, everybody wants the experience, but sometimes, they don't have the opportunities.
No, I do agree with that. And that's when sometimes you have the issue with career-wise. The issue is, either I get whatever I get and I destroy my voice in 5 years because I just want to sing, or the other way, probably the smarter one, is I put myself somewhere when I can feel that I have a mentor that will lead me to what I want to do. And my career will last 30, 40 years. So when you work with people like Zanon, Angela, that they are the two professors that work with me for La Bohème, and they had 30 years of experience, each one, and they play everywhere in the world. And the confidence that they give to the singer, to the young singer, it's unbelievable because they went there at the same time. So, for instance, our soprano, Angela was told to not to try any art, but to study for 2 more years. So she stopped whatever she did back then, and she came back and then just flew over the sky with the career. But because I had a mentor that told, do not do this now, it's not your time yet, just wait. And unfortunately, everyone, like you said before, everyone is rushed to do something today and they don't wait. That's when, unfortunately, bad things happen. But luckily, we have this new academy here, and that's exactly what we are trying to do. We are trying to hold the horses of this young singer and say, look, in 2 years' time, you can do it. If you do now, in 2 years' time, you won't be able to do anything. So, and the things of, for me, it's priceless, is when you share your experience with the others, mostly young musician, because perhaps we don't have the same background, we don't have the same kind of life, but we've been there one in a way or the other. So if I can share what I did, and that will help you to overcome an obstacle, I'm happy to do it. So all the members of our academies, that's why I love the global idea of this academy, because everyone comes from a different background, all world musicians work for the academy. And, and if I want to know something about the Indian music, like there is the professor that does that, and I will help me to understand something about India. If I want to know something more about China music, so Turandot is based over there, I will ask. So if I need a special sound for an orchestra, I will ask the professor of that field to say, this one, what's happened, this moment in this scene, what do you think about this sound, how the bell or how the instrument back then would have sound? It would have an answer. So I can transfer this one in my mind and then give it to the orchestra. So I think that's the global, that what I love the most. It's very, like we say, it's but it's from everywhere. So it's a 360 degrees university in that respect. Also, they have different courses. Music mostly today is becoming a business. So you need to understand how to work and so how to finance. So they have different kind of music business courses as well that we didn't have.
That's great.
So yes, and how to management stuff in music, and that's great because we didn't have that. So yeah, today it's much easier in a way because you have all these courses. Back in the day, you had piano, composition, violin. That's it.
But it's many musicians say that. Many artists say that. It's that business side of things that sort of they come out of university and they studied music, but they don't know where to go with marketing themselves or getting,
That's what exactly the department we have. So I think it's very interesting that it's covering the music life at 365 degrees. And as I said, you can have a violin, but you don't know how to market yourself, or you are a fantastic singer, but you don't know how to perhaps approach an agent. That's another thing that is very important these days, an agent. So there are things that, luckily for us, not many conservatories in the world or academy have, and that we do. And, perhaps it's, good things that I'm one of them.
That's amazing. But what you previously said about learning from each other or learning from somebody who's been there before, because a young choreographer said to me also last week that it's so important for young people to understand that you have to learn from somebody who's been there. The people who's done that and achieved something. It's so important to be learning from them as well.
No, that's I think experience. It's the most important, invaluable things that you can share with somebody, and there was a proverb or like a motto in Africa. They say that when somebody dies, a whole library of experience dies with it. So, you might not understand something, but if you have the experience to share, it makes somebody else's life much easier. So,
and do you enjoy it when a young conductor comes up to you and asks you, or?
Oh yeah, I love that. I think that's also gave means that I did something good as well.
Oh yeah. No, that's true.
So no, it's probably one of my favorites. I remember I was in, I think I was conducting Lincoln Center. Yes, at the finish of I finished the ballet, and these young kids came to me, and in the pit, just face down, and I started to chat with him, and he said, "I would like to be like you one day."
Really?
I said, no. You want to be like you one day. And a few months later, Mom wrote me a letter that he started to play cello, and it was doing very well. So, it's
amazing.
It's something nice that happens sometimes. And, if you can actually do some good for young generation, I'm happy to help the way I can, of course.
But that's wonderful. But just your passion about what you do is already so infectious, I think that if somebody talks to you, they'll probably become a conductor.
I know. So, do you play an instrument?
I played piano when I was a child, but I must say I was not the best student.
Oh, you see, that's what I try to say to any musician in general, even the good one, so the bigger one. I say, I don't like the word "I cannot."
Yeah.
You say the word "I haven't done it yet." That's
exactly.
The word.
Yeah.
And if you can play, just say, "Oh, I can do it." No, you haven't done it yet. We will get
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's I don't know why it was, but we had a piano in the house. My dad is a great classical music and opera lover, and he played music always, the old LPs.
Oh,
And
nice.
he had a very good stereo system, and always played the music. So I always heard the music. Many times I heard the music, but I didn't know which opera it came from. So it was only later that I discovered, okay, this is the story, or this was but I knew the music, So, but still, I think it's great, and this is why I also agree. In schools, I think we shouldn't underestimate what children take in, and if we could, if art lessons or some form of art, if children can just have that opportunity to express themselves, it will also, the brain science has been done that it does affect learning in every sense. So why we are not more eager to get that into schools, I don't understand.
The other thing is that the music, the energy of music, has also the healing part of music. Mm-hmm. So that's something that has been scientifically proven, that it's not developed the brain, but also the healing effect that the music has. And, I think I don't have an answer because I'm not a politician why they do that. Mm-hmm. Because I probably consider the less valuable things in a school system in music. But then they enjoy to go to concerts. That's the problem. So I do expect in a few years to have an orchestra if you don't have players now. There's no orchestra anymore. So I don't know, it's a very good question, but, we should ask them,
Yeah. No, that's true. But tell me, Cristian, what are still the wishes for you for the future? Because you've done so much already, but do you still have wishes?
Oh yeah. I wish my now I get emotional. I wish my parents see me conduct.
Oh.
No, they're still alive, but because I work, they are now old, but because I work mostly overseas, so they didn't have the chance except on YouTube, but it's not the same,
Yeah.
And one day, perhaps. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful wish.
Okay, let's talk about politics then.
But that's a beautiful wish, and I really wish with you for that to come true.
Perhaps I can make it happen soon. Perhaps after this interview, somebody from Italy will call. Who knows? Yeah,
that would be amazing. That would be amazing. But where are your parents at the moment?
Oh, they have a house just outside Rome in a small medieval, beautiful village called Casperia. It's in the Rieti province. It's a fantastic area, and they retired. They have their own house. They enjoy the countryside. So yeah.
And you were born there, or where were you?
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah, in that yes. And so they're waiting for me and my kids and my wife to go down in 3 weeks. Yes, okay.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, because they've been spend the summer with the grandparents, with the nonni. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I've only been to Italy 2 months ago for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And I'm so in love with Italy. I really, it's the most beautiful country, and the people there are so amazing. And of course, the espresso is the best, and the gelato as well.
Yeah, you make me miss home even more. But yeah, we are. I'm very proud of my heritage. I'm very proud of our history, of what we gave, to the world, from the Roman Empire to opera and Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and every country has their scenes, so no one is perfect. So, but I can live anywhere, but I only call home Italy.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in London at the moment. My wife and I are here and enjoying today for the first time the sunny weather.
I lived in the UK for 14 years, so I understand that.
Oh, where?
In Windsor.
Oh, Windsor, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So now I understand what cloudy days mean.
Yes.
And what people always used to joke and say, summer was on a Wednesday this year.
Well, yeah, they say you have to, when you go out from your house, you have to bring an umbrella and sunglasses because you never know what's happening next.
Yeah. No, that's true. But Christian, this was so great talking to you.
Oh, that was fantastic. Thank you again for having me. I really loved it. Hopefully there will be some more in a few years when something else come up and we can share some new news.
Yes, absolutely. And please let me know when you come to Vienna.
Oh, I love Vienna. Vienna is, for me, is still one of the most magical places I've ever been. I came a couple of times. One of my friends who lives there, and it was for New Year's Eve, and we were in St. Stephen Plaza.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And of course, back then I was young, so I could do nights. I remember those couple of nights after the New Year's, I was walking and there was no one, but it was a little bit of fog. And the light was just magical, mystical. For me, that view still have in my eyes, it's just make me want to come more often. It's just stunning.
Yeah, no, I must say Vienna is a magical. I mean, magical is the word really, because, and even sometimes I go and walk early in the morning because I love to see when the city wakes up. Yeah. But those moments before, before things come alive in Vienna, I just think that's amazing. Early morning and yeah.
What you just described is what a conductor has before start to do a hum beat. That's the sound, and then everything becomes alive.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm going to remember that the next time I go to the to the theater. That's amazing. Yeah. But Christian, have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you so much for your time. And
I will, keep following you. I like your blog, so it's very
nice.
nice.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.